Hello and welcome back to another Wicked Good Hair Day styling tutorial. Today we're going to be discussing the basics of how to round brush and blow dry your hair, which is why we went with a super smooth set today. So if you're struggling with just how to work a round brush through your hair, then this is the best place to start, just to show you how easy it is and how you're probably just overthinking it. So if you're still struggling with how to use a round brush to really smooth the hair, then this is the tutorial for you. Stick around. For starters for this tutorial, you are going to need, of course, your blow dryer. You're gonna likely need one of the flat nozzles that fit on the end of that blow dryer. Now they do make one size fits most if your blow dryer does not have one, or if it's shoved all the way back in a drawer and you can't find it anymore. There are differences based off of whether they clip into the inside or slide onto the outside. Either way is just based off of the diameter of the nose of your hair dryer. So feel free to find one of those one size fits all if you cannot find one for your hair dryer. Next, you're going to need something to detangle the hair with. Based off of this mannequin's texture, I did use a paddle brush. And for the purpose of this tutorial, we are going with our largest round brush because we're really just smoothing everything down and giving you the basics of how the round brush works. I did already prep this mannequin by using Euphoria's Aloe Therapy shampoo and conditioner to help with the tangles in typical mannequin hair. I then applied our Fortify Keratin Repair Spray. This is going to help remove that extra water weight as well as start to add some leave-in conditioner benefits and some heat protection benefits. I then applied one of our favorite leave-in conditioners to help both repair any damage as well as prevent further damage, which can cause split ends, so we're preventing split ends. I then mixed the sculpture and illuminate together in my hands first and then applied it to the hair, and I did all of this before ever trying to detangle it out of the shower. This is going to help seal that cuticle down and lock in both of those leave-in conditioner steps that we started with, as well as help detangle the hair. From there, it was no trouble at all to use my paddle brush. When you're detangling, you want to use it vertically so that the bristles all line up properly. And you want to start at the ends and work your way up to the scalp. Once you reach the scalp, then you can go horizontally for the tension and make sure that's easy going all the way down. So she's been prepped and detangled. Afterwards, I applied some of our favorite heat protection specifically for blow drying purposes, good for up to 428 degrees, which your hairdryer can get that hot, but we're going to show you how to mitigate any kind of heat damage as well today. This heat protection does also provide some additional moisture as well as detangling benefits, which is why we really love it. So once you've applied the products that you're going to be blow drying into the hair, then we're going to take our blow dryer with the flat nozzle and we're going to start by power blow drying the hair. This is important because, of course, the hair is more fragile when it's wet, so we do not want to put any immediate tension on the hair while it's in this super wet stage. What we want to do is actually knock out approximately 80% of that water before a brush actually touches the hair. Power blow drying means you're going to use your fingers for tension so that you're holding a section that you can manage at a time, and you're just going to be aiming the airflow from roots to ends. So however you're holding it, you're going to be aiming that airflow roots to ends. If you're looking for volume, then you're going to be holding the hair more directly upwards and aiming that hair flow roots to ends this way. If you're not looking for volume, it is fine to maintain the hair down this way. We're going to be tackling each section front side and back side until the first 4 inches or so are 100% dry. So however small sections you need to take in order to get back side and front side, that's the goal, so that this section, the first 4 inches of hair, are 100% dry, and that leaves the remaining hair a little damp. That's what we mean by 80% dry. I am using high heat and high speed by all means. As you are still getting used to the movements of using your blow dryer, you are welcome to turn either one of those or both of those down just for practice purposes. The goal is that there is no high heat sitting in one position for too long. After all, if it is too hot for your head, or your hand, it is too hot for the hair, and it's either time to move on or use a cooler setting. So as you can see, we've got the first 4 inches of this section totally and completely dry. The remaining is a little damp, and we did it in all of 30 seconds. So now we're able to move on to the next little section of the head, and the next little section of the head, until all of the hair has the first 4 inches of the roots completely and totally dry, and the ends are a little damp. Keep in mind that the less you're maneuvering the hair, the better, so that's why I am basically holding my hand in the same spot and just adjusting the angle that I'm attacking the hair at. So now we've got the first 4 inches of all of her hair totally dry, and the remaining lengths are a tad damp, and that is what we mean by 80% dry before we even section it off and put a brush in it. Now, obviously, for those of you with less than 4 inches of hair, you could potentially call this done and dry and just polish it off with some of our finishing products. However, this mannequin has more hair than that, so we're going to start by sectioning things off in a section that works for the width of the brush. Now, whether you're sectioning off the outer portion and working your way inwards, or you're sectioning off temples and working your way bottom to top this way, doesn't matter. It's about what's more comfortable to you. So for today's tutorial, we're going to show you the easy way of sectioning off basically just like temple to temple up here first, saving that top section for last. So for ease of this tutorial, we're starting with the first section being about temple to temple all the way around and clipping that away. And then we're going to start the next section just behind the ears here and clip that away. If you have a lot of hair, you might need to separate this into yet another section and work with 4 sections instead of 3. Mannequins fortunately don't have that much hair, so working with basically just this bottom section first. And like we said, we want sections that actually fit on the brush. So for that means that whatever section we pick up, if we're going vertically, then it needs to fit the brush vertically. If we're going horizontally, then it needs to fit the brush horizontally. This does not fit the brush horizontally, but it does fit vertically. Vertically and horizontally will give you 2 slightly different results. Horizontally will boost more volume through here, which we don't need for this back section, and vertically gives you more of that wave pattern. That being said, part of the needing to fit on the brush itself does mean that as you run the brush through, you will need to see the bristles all the way through the section that you're working on. If you still have hair overlaying the bristles, then you don't have tension all the way through that section. So take a smaller section. You may just have that much hair. A lot of my clients do. Working with a section that fits all the way through the bristles of the hair, and I am going vertically back here because we are not looking to build any volume. We're just looking to smooth the hair down and maybe add a little bit of a wave pattern based on the roundness of the brush, which we are using the round brush, so it will not be a very strong wave pattern. Now, for those of you who are, less limber, you are more than welcome to bring this brush as forward as you need to in order to still have control over this whole section. Remember, here to here is totally dry already, so you're mostly looking at polishing the ends here. So being able to reach the roots entirely is not something you really need to worry about, especially back here. Getting the brush in vertically, getting the blow dryer with the nozzle to fit over the round brush. You're not aiming into the round brush, you're aiming just over the bristles this way so that it's also following roots to ends of the hair. And you're basically just going to blow dry down the round brush this way. That's the motion that we're working with. That motion itself just smooths the hair down. And then once you reach the ends where there's not, as you can see, there's not a whole lot of hair wrapping all the way around, if you want to just power dry just those ends to get a little bit of a bevel going, that's the extent that this tutorial is going to go. And just those 3 pass-throughs completely smooths and dries the hair because it was already 80% dry, which saves your arm and saves your hair. We're going to take the next section, again, something that fits on the brush and maintains tension all the way through the section. Do it again. Now I do like to switch sides here, so one of them goes bevels one way and one of them bevels the other way. That may take some practice for you, and that is absolutely fine. With that, this entire back section is totally dry and smooth. We're gonna repeat that for this next section. Now, like I said, I like to do left side versus right side, so if you feel the need to split that section somewhere in the back in order to maintain the most control over each side, absolutely do that. Once again, working with vertical sections because this is still not where we want to build any volume, and sections that fit on the brush, with the bristles going all the way through it. Make sure everything's detangled before starting, otherwise you are styling in that tangle. Once again, section that fits on the brush and that you can see the bristles all the way through. Alright, let me lower her head and show you how to do the top section in a way that gives you a little volume. Because here to here, we're not worried about any volume. Here, you might want some. For this top section, if you'd like to add some boost spray or some volume fusion spray, you absolutely could do that. What we're looking at is sectioning it off so that we can still get vertical sections this way that still fit on the brush. Because we're doing vertical sections this way, that fit on the brush this way, you're going to basically over-direct everything forward and up and over the brush that direction in order to get volume at the root section. You can go forward. You definitely want to go forward if there's any kind of bangs happening. Otherwise, you want to go up and over the brush this way just for some volume. She does not have any bangs, so we're going to go up and over just for some volume. Keep it simple today. Now, remember, you're still aiming down the hair shaft. The hair shaft is just going up and over the brush this way, so not into the brush, but around the brush. Now this section, regardless of bangs, you'll want to aim more upward than the section in front of it. As you can see, she's smooth, but she's got a little bit of that volume going through here and a little bit of a wave going throughout here that you could definitely see that if she had bangs and you did forward and over this way, that bang would create a nice little curtain fringe for her. Let's go ahead and do that other side. Remember to detangle first. Any tangles that are in the hair will be blow dried into the hair. From here, we would use something for just a little bit of polish. In this case, because I didn't put any anti-humectants in there, and because of the texture of her hair, she does have a little fuzziness through the bottom, which is instantly solved with either our smoothing oil or beautifying serum or our pure polish. So just a smidge of pure polish in my hand and just pulling it into a ponytail, giving that ponytail a nice little twist in one direction, smoothing everything together there. And then I'm going to take, temple to temple section up through the top here. This time I'm going to be twisting everything in the other direction so that we don't curve it one way or the other. Just smoothing the ends into something. And you can see how that instantly took out any of that extra fuzzy. As you can see, she is styled, she is polished, she is smooth. You at home could be cutting down a lot of that time simply by power blow drying through most of it.